Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take the material you bring us, peel back the layers, and find the really important stuff, the kind of knowledge that helps you feel truly informed without drowning in details.
And today we're digging into an account that lays out a really gripping narrative. It's all about one individual's uphill battle against, well, systemic challenges and alleged manipulation within a military training program.
Exactly. Think struggle, alliances, and ultimately, vindication. Our mission with this deep dive is to unpack this compelling story, understand the core conflict, meet the key players, follow this pretty surprising turn of events, and most importantly, figure out what generalizable insights we can take away from this fight for truth and resilience.
It's a story that really forces you to look past the surface of what seems like a simple outcome and ask, okay, what's really going on underneath?
Couldn't agree more. So let's dive right into the narrative you shared with us. It starts, as many dramatic stories do, with a very public moment of humiliation.
Right at the beginning, the account puts you right in the middle of it. You hear Emily Harper's name called out over the loudspeaker, clear across the parade ground.
Wow.
She's handed this official-looking sealed envelope, and then right there in front of her entire unit, she's publicly dismissed from the academy.
Publicly. Oof. And the reason given. This incredibly cold, clinical phrase doesn't meet criteria for tactical decisions under high stress response. That's it.
That's apparently it. Just like that, her dreams seemingly crushed. The account notes, you could even hear a few snickers, someone muttering about the farmer's daughter couldn't keep up. Just brutal.
Yeah, that public aspect is significant. It wasn't done privately, behind closed doors. She's standing there, older than most of the cadets, 28, I think.
Yeah, 28.
Yeah.
And with a quiet demeanor that apparently made her an easy target in that kind of environment. And around her are these younger cadets, many from military families.
The pedigreed ones.
Right, described as just sailing through evaluations with what the source points out are, well, suspiciously consistent high scores.
And the person delivering this crushing news, Captain Bradley Thornton. The description in the account is pretty pointed. Clinical, following protocol, yes, but with this, unmistakable sense of satisfaction in his eyes.
Yeah, it highlights this immediate tension the system focused on rigid protocol, seemingly dismissing her actual natural skill. It feels less like an objective evaluation.
And more like, a predetermined outcome for someone who didn't quite fit the mold they wanted.
Exactly. What's fascinating here is how quickly the narrative establishes this clash between the Academy's rigid, maybe even biased structure and Emily herself.
And when you learn her background, that tension makes even more sense. Her father was John Coleman Harper, described as a legendary crop duster back home, but also a former military pilot himself.
Right, he taught her to fly at just 12 and told her she had the touch.
The touch. That phrase really captures it, doesn't it? That idea of an innate intuitive skill that goes beyond just checking boxes or following a manual. It's about feel, adaptability.
Definitely. But her father died in a crash 3 years prior, officially ruled pilot error. She carries his tarnished wing pin, a constant reminder.
So her whole dream was to come here and really fly, not just dust fields. And now that dream, tied so closely to her father's legacy, it felt completely shattered by this dismissal.
It adds such a deep personal layer. Her father's official record tarnished by pilot error in the military, and now her own military flying aspirations ended by a similar, seemingly arbitrary judgment. Makes you wonder.
If they're connected, yeah. So she's given 48 hours to pack up, feeling completely defeated. You'd think that's the end of the story, but it's not. Because this is where the first crack appears, thanks to an unlikely ally, Tech Sergeant Danny Brooks.
Danny Brooks. Described as this veteran mechanic, maybe around 40, hands ingrained with years of grease and oil. The account makes it clear he was different. He saw Emily's potential, didn't treat her with the same disdain others did.
She found refuge in his hangar, right?
Right, yeah, apparently. Her own mechanical aptitude earned his respect. And Danny's insight is crucial here. He immediately suspects Thornton was behind her dismissal. He connects it directly to those weird, persistent equipment issues she had during her evaluations.
The ones that always seem to happen at the worst possible time, like the gyro stabilizer recalibrating mid-maneuver.
Exactly those. Things that were just too convenient, too well-timed to be random malfunctions. He started connecting the dots that Emily couldn't quite prove on her own.
And he sees her ready to just give up, pack her bags, and leave. That's when he confronts her, right? You're just going to walk away, let Thornton win.
Yep. And he floats this idea, a counterproposal, hinting that there might be a way to actually show them what they're throwing away. But the alliance, it goes deeper than just him seeing her potential.
How so?
Danny reveals he served with her father, John Harper, for 8 years. And here's the real kicker. Danny was there when the systems report for John Harper's incident was falsified.
Wait, really? Falsified?
That's what he says. He says they, implying Thornton was involved, called it pilot error when the real issue was manipulated flight data.
Wow. So this isn't just about Emily's present, it's about her father's past, his entire legacy.
Exactly. Danny tells her, seeing her fly now, it feels like history, giving them a second chance to right a wrong. It elevates the whole struggle. It's not just Emily fighting for herself anymore.
He's fighting for her father's honor, too. Okay, that changes everything. Danny's loyalty to her father and seeing that same touch in Emily, that explains why he'd be willing to take such enormous risks.
Which leads us right into a truly pivotal moment in the story. The test in the virtual sky. The account details Emily's skills before she even got to the academy. The kind of skills the military system completely dismissed.
Right, she wasn't just good, she was exceptional. Winning regional ag aviation simulation challenges, beating seasoned veterans, diagnosing engine problems by sound, even saving pilots in mid-air emergencies in her civilian life.
The source gives specific examples, saving old Mr. Grayson, the neighboring crop duster, and even a wealthy businessman whose fancy plane she apparently fixed with, get this, tractor parts and baling wire.
No way! Tractor parts.
That's the story. Real-world examples of adaptive, intuitive problem-solving under pressure. But the Academy, according to the source, saw all this as not official training. They prioritized standardized protocols over raw, demonstrated skill.
So Danny provides the opportunity, but it's incredibly risky for him. He gets access codes for a restricted F-22 simulator. We're talking a career-ending move if he's caught.
Oh, absolutely. But he sees it as essential. He sets the stage. Emily gets 2 hours in this advanced combat training module, normally only used by final stage cadets. His challenge to her is simple. Master this and prove you can fly anything.
And it's tough at first, right? The F-22 is complex. She crashes 3 times.
3 times early on, yeah. But the account describes how her instincts, the ones honed over those Kansas farmlands, they just kick in. She starts adapting, outperforming the standard benchmarks. Her so-called unorthodox technique
Was actually the mark of a natural, exceptional pilot.
Precisely. And there's this incredible moment during a simulation of a catastrophic hydraulic failure at Mach 1. It's a scenario designed to be almost unrecoverable. But Emily instinctively executes this precise series of adjustments, stabilizes the aircraft, maintains mission parameters.
The exact kind of adaptive, high-stress decision-making the Academy claimed she couldn't handle. The irony.
Right. In just those 2 hours, she completes 3 combat scenarios, setting record-breaking scores. Danny sees it all and confirms you've got the touch, just like your father. It's proof, undeniable proof, of her inherent skill.
But, oh, there's a complication. As they're leaving...
They realize they left a simulator running for just a moment too long and a security camera caught it. Danny sees it and knows instantly that someone is going to see that footage.
And that realization forces their hand. It means they have to accelerate the plan, whatever that plan might be. The timeline just got way shorter.
Exactly. The pressure is suddenly immense.
So who sees the footage? The next morning, Lieutenant Mia Alvarez, head of security, summons Emily. Emily's probably thinking, okay, this is it. Disciplinary action, immediate removal.
But Alvarez pulls a complete surprise. She disables the security cameras in the hangar before she says anything, which is already interesting.
Right.
And then she reveals she saw the footage. Not only that, she specifically points out that Emily's performance metrics broke 3 Academy records.
Okay, so Alvarez isn't just security. She's paying attention. Emily decides to lay it all out then.
Seems so. She confesses everything, her background, her father's story, her absolute conviction that her evaluations were manipulated by Thornton, citing those conveniently timed and never thoroughly investigated equipment failures. She explains she used the simulator precisely to get proof that she belonged there.
And Alvarez, how does she react?
Alvarez's reaction is key. The account describes her as this tough but fair female instructor, someone clearly aware of the old guard and the biases within the academy. She gets how serious Emily's accusation is. She mentions its grounds for court-martial against Thornton. But seeing the simulator performance and hearing Emily's story, she believes her.
So instead of punishment...
It's a challenge. Instead of leaving, Emily should stay and show the Pentagon officials, who are conveniently coming for a demonstration in 3 days, exactly the kind of talent Thornton is trying to push out.
Wow. Alvarez is playing a risky game too then. And she gives Emily a crucial piece of information, right? A hint.
A big one. She mentions Cadet Ethan Walsh, uses access code 472 ALMA for his simulator sessions, and is notoriously forgetful about logging out. A not-so-subtle nudge in the right direction.
Which brings another person into the fold. That night, Emily takes the hint, uses Walsh's code to get back into a simulator, and Walsh finds her there.
Yep. But instead of reporting her, he reveals something stunning. Thornton actually assigned him to watch her.
Assigned him to spy on her.
Basically. And he's conflicted because he's seen Emily's skill himself. Apparently saw her fix a tricky stability issue in another simulator, and he knows her evaluations were being manipulated by Thornton.
So Walsh becomes an ally, too.
He does. He provides another critical reveal. Thornton hasn't just been subtly sabotaging equipment, he's been directly altering Emily's scores. And then he drops this bomb.
What?
He tells her about the specific F-22 being used for the demonstration, FX-97. Thornton specifically requested to have the call sign Coleman painted on the side.
Coleman, after her father.
Exactly. Calling it poetic justice and closing a circle, it's just unbelievably cruel. A direct personal jab at her father's memory.
That's vile. Okay, that seals it. The core alliance is formed. Emily, Alvarez, Danny, and now Walsh, they have only 3 days. The plan is audacious, incredibly risky, and requires absolutely perfect split-second timing.
And this is where the narrative really shifts gears. Almost becomes like a heist story, you know? Emily is grinding in the simulator, mastering the F-22. Alvarez is using her position to monitor Thornton, finds out he's scheduled a private inspection of the Coleman jet.
Walsh is their inside man, their eyes and ears in Thornton's circle, feeding them information. But Danny's role, that seems like the most critical and definitely the most dangerous.
Oh, absolutely. As chief maintenance technician, he'll be present during Thornton's inspection of the Coleman. He needs to somehow document Thornton's specific adjustments and implement subtle countermeasures without being detected.
The stakes are just sky high. If Danny is caught tampering, it's criminal charges. For the others, dismissal, maybe worse.
But their motivation is deep. It's about justice, their absolute belief in Emily's skill, and honoring her father's legacy. Danny says it plainly in the account. Some things are worth the risk.
So, getting Emily to the actual aircraft on demonstration day, that's a huge logistical challenge. Multiple security checkpoints. Alvarez gives her a forged badge for level 2 access, but after that.
The account notes she's largely on her own. Walsh gives them the maintenance schedule showing this incredibly narrow surveillance gap, just 20 minutes, between 13:45 and 14:05. She has crossed the main terminal corridor right at peak changeover. It's nail-biting stuff.
The tension builds the night before. Walsh reports Thornton is agitated, reviewing flight patterns obsessively. Emily watches as Thornton inspects the Coleman, specifically directing Danny to make subtle adjustments to customize its performance.
Basically tuning it for his specific flight style, making it respond exactly how he wants.
And this is where Danny makes his critical, incredibly risky move. He fakes an old injury to get a moment alone with the diagnostic system.
Clever.
He documents everything Thornton changed. And then, knowing the demonstration is the next day, he implements subtle countermeasures, restoring the factory settings in a way that Thornton wouldn't detect.
Until he was actually flying the plane. Oh, that's brilliant and incredibly dangerous. He leaves the data drive documenting Thornton's changes for Emily near her observation point.
But even with all their planning, Thornton's getting suspicious, right? The account says he reviews security footage, sees Emily entering a restricted area where she shouldn't be. His face hardens. "Not this time, Harper," he mutters, reaching for his phone. They know he's onto something.
The clock is ticking, and the enemy knows something is up.
So, demonstration day arrives. Perfect flying weather, clear, bright. Emily reviews the plan, that tiny window, barely 3 minutes, to get from maintenance access to the runway. Everything hinges on precise timing and Thornton underestimating them.
And Danny, we learn, stayed up all night, meticulously calibrating sensors, creating tiny anomalies that would hopefully mask his own modifications and Thornton's changes. He gives Emily the thumbs up the Coleman is ready, meaning his factory settings are locked in. Thornton is about to fly a jet that won't respond quite the way he expects.
But Alvarez hits a snag. The security rotation changed last minute. She's stuck in the VIP section, can't clear Emily's path like planned.
Oh no. So what does she do?
She gives Emily her own photo badge, but with a different name. It gets her past level 2 security, but after that, Emily really is on her own.
And then there's that poignant moment just before the demonstration begins. Danny finds Emily and gives her something.
The wings. A gleaming, official set of pilot's wings inscribed with John Coleman Harper's name and service number. He found them in her father's effects after the crash.
He earned these, Danny tells her. Kept them even after everything. Wow. Talk about a powerful, tangible connection to the legacy she's fighting for right before she takes this massive gamble.
Absolutely. The demonstration starts at 1400 hours. Thornton leads the F-22 formation, including the Coleman FX-97. The account describes a masterful display, showcasing the Raptor's capabilities. Thornton, for all his flaws, was apparently a skilled pilot.
But, as the source subtly points out, skill without integrity, well, it's a dangerous combination. At 1440 hours, Walsh gives their signal. Thornton is setting up for that complex inverted descent, and critically, a maintenance alert triggers in the tower their 2-minute window to act.
Emily makes her move, but immediately hits an obstacle. A security officer rounds the corner right where she needs to go. This is it, the moment she's completely exposed.
And her quick thinking saves her. She pretends to be calibrating signals at a nearby junction box. Starts spouting technical jargon, towers getting interference from the east sector, signal calibration check, even whips out a multimeter CAC bit Danny insisted she carry.
Using the tools. Does it work?
It's convincing enough. The officer buys it, nods, and moves on. Close call.
Incredibly close. She reaches the standby Raptor, gets in. The account describes this moment of pure clarity. Getting into that cockpit felt exactly like where she was meant to be. She brings the jet to life.
But the takeoff clearance is the next hurdle. She transmits as FX-93, requesting emergency takeoff clearance. She identifies herself. Emily Harper, callsign Sparrow, authorization code Coleman 739er, security protocol override.
Bold move. Using her name, using Coleman. How does the tower react?
Hesitation, confusion. An unscheduled aircraft. Authorization code Coleman. It doesn't compute.
And this is where Danny provides the final assist.
Yep. A burst of electronic interference hits the tower's comms, just static for a second. When it clears, only the automated systems are functioning properly. A computerized voice responds. FX-93, you are cleared for emergency takeoff on runway 3.
Danny, the tech wizard. She slams the throttles forward, feels that immense Raptor power, and climbs rapidly into the sky that's been calling her her whole life.
Up in the air, Thornton is in the middle of his inverted descent, and he's struggling slightly. But those subtle changes Danny made, restoring the factory settings, mean the jet isn't responding exactly the way Thornton expects. It's fighting him just a bit.
And suddenly, Emily appears on radar. Thornton's voice is sharp over the comms. Unscheduled aircraft. Panic and confusion ripple through the tower below.
Emily seizes the moment. She maneuvers alongside the Coleman. The account describes how, through the canopies, just meters apart, she and Thornton lock eyes.
Oh, to be a fly on that canopy. The shock, then disbelief, then pure theory on his face.
Must have been intense. Her silent message is powerful. She just taps her father's wings on her flight suit and gives him this small, knowing smile. She's here, in his airspace, in a Raptor, representing everything he tried to crush.
Enraged, thrown off balance by the jet's unexpected response, Thornton makes his mistake. He attempts this aggressive correcting maneuver, and the Coleman starts to spin.
Not catastrophically, but definitely not part of the plan. Clearly losing control for a moment in front of everyone.
And here's maybe the most incredible moment. Despite everything he's done, Emily radios him, calmly.
She gives him the exact correction he needs to stabilize the aircraft. Reduce throttle to 40% and ease your stick, 2-degree port. Then she adds the kicker. You're fighting factory settings, not your modifications.
Boom. Just lays it out there. She knows. He knows she knows.
Thornton stabilizes. And then Emily breaks formation, and for the observers below, she flies the correct recovery technique flawlessly, showing him up completely.
She then transmits to the tower. FX-93, Emily Harper, requesting permission to complete the demonstration sequence while Thornton recovers, noting, very politely, that he seems to be having some control issues.
Smooth. And General Michaels of the Pentagon Oversight Committee, watching all of this unfold, intervenes. He grants permission. Let's see what you can do, he says over the comms.
Talk about an audition.
Right. And for the next 10 minutes, Emily puts on a clinic. The account describes her flight as combining textbook precision with her unique, intuitive flair. She's clearly outperforming the Academy's star instructor.
And she dedicates the flight.
At the end, she dedicates it not to herself, but to her father, John Coleman Harper, calling him the finest pilot I've ever known.
Wow. The tower acknowledges the dedication, and Emily lands with what the account calls characteristic perfection. She feels this immense weight lift. She didn't just get back in the sky, she honored her father and found her place, entirely on her own terms.
But the story isn't quite complete without the reckoning, right? It happens back on the ground, in the briefing room.
Right. General Michaels and the senior officers reviewed Danny's footage. The proof of Thornton making those unauthorized adjustments to the Coleman.
Thornton tries to brush it off,
Yeah,
calls them minor standard practice, a weak defense.
very weak. But Walsh steps up.
Walsh's testimony is damning. He contradicts Thornton directly, detailing how Thornton systematically falsified Emily's evaluations and those of, get this, 28 other candidates over 5 years.
The only 8 others.
Yeah. Walsh says Thornton justified it as necessary to maintain the program's standards and prestige, basically weeding out anyone who didn't fit his mold or have the right connections.
And Lieutenant Alvarez backs this up.
Alvarez corroborates it with her own investigation, showing a clear pattern of manipulated scores targeting candidates without those family connections. She states plainly that Emily was just the first one who fought back effectively.
Then Danny delivers the final blow.
He reveals Thornton was the test engineer who signed off on John Harper's aircraft before the crash, and that he had modified those systems with adjustments virtually identical to what he did to the Coleman the night before.
Connecting him directly to her father's crash, or at least the end of his career.
Exactly. Thornton's silence when confronted with this basically confirms his guilt, or at the very least, responsibility.
So the hammer comes down. General Michaels makes his decision.
Thornton is relieved of command and summarily dishonorably discharged. The Coleman demonstration is officially recorded as compromised. Emily's unauthorized flight is noted, but crucially her technical proficiency is highlighted, and a full review of cadet evaluations from the past 5 years is ordered.
With Walsh on the oversight committee, that's quite a turnaround for him.
It is a sign of redemption and trust, and in a final act of justice, John Coleman Harper is posthumously exonerated. His service record is restored.
That must have meant everything to Emily.
Absolutely. General Michaels personally presents Emily with her father's Distinguished Service Medal. He tells her, "These wings weren't clipped by failure, they were buried by silence. You made them fly again." Powerful stuff.
Wow. Goosebumps. So fast forward 6 months, where does that leave Emily?
Emily is back on that same tarmac, but this time she's Lieutenant Emily Harper. Her commission earned after a probationary period that validated her skill beyond any doubt. The investigation sparked by her fight exposed systemic biases throughout the Air Force training structure, leading to significant changes and new transparent evaluation protocols.
So her fight had ripple effects.
Big time. Thornton is gone, his career ended by his own actions. And Emily, she's flying the Coleman, the very jet meant to mock her father's name. She's executing intricate patterns. The account ends with her feeling anchored in that moment, her father's wings gleaming on her chest, his presence felt. Her skill, once dismissed, is undeniable, earned through struggle and ultimate vindication.
What a journey this account lays out. Just incredible. From public dismissal rooted in manipulation and blatant bias to public vindication and the uncovering of deep-seated systemic issues. It's the story of Emily Harper and how, with the help of a few key brave allies, she fought for truth and honored her father's legacy.
It really underscores the power of, well, true skill and integrity over arbitrary systems and hidden agendas, and how one person's refusal to just accept an unfair outcome can expose much wider problems. It's quite inspiring, actually.
It really does make you think, doesn't it, about the systems and structures we encounter every day in our work, our communities, even just in how things are always done. What's the story we see on the surface and, what might be going on beneath?
It certainly invites us to question things and look a bit deeper, yeah.
Absolutely. So here's something to mull over. What systems do you encounter in your own life, work, or community that might need questioning? Or perhaps a bit of a deep dive to see what's really going on beneath the surface? It's a thought worth flying with, I think.
Indeed. A good takeaway.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Until next time.